I'm a rising senior at Mission San Jose High School, and my project was image recognition using Raspberry Pi. So let me share my screen real quick. Okay, how do you present this?
On the top right, there's a little, next to the yellow big button, there's a present button.
Oh, the Zoom thing is blocking it. Okay, so that's my title slide. So I have two videos to show. I'm not sure if you can see this because the video quality might be kind of bad, but uh, so okay, well, so that's my cousin's dog. So image recognition basically, you train a model, and then until it learns and gets a higher accuracy for the prediction days. So you can pass in like a picture of a dog or something, and then once you run the program, it can output like whether or not it's a dog. So this is a picture of my cousin's dog, and let me just run through it. Okay, and then it says that it's a dog. And then I had a second part which uses the Raspberry Pi camera. So oh, oh, okay, I'm not sure where the second part went, but let me just explain a little bit about how the model works. So wait, what else? Sorry, like the the Zoom thing is blocking my I can't really click the place to go to. Okay, so basically here, uh, the epoch is basically like each training set, and after each training set, you can see the accuracy clearly go up from like 0.78 constantly all the way to like 0.97, and that basically shows that uh, it like on the fifth training set, the model only has a 78% accuracy to predict whether or not the image is a dog or not. But then by the last training set, it's able to predict at a 90% accuracy. So that's pretty cool. It's like the the computer's learning on its own. Okay, so that's just a demo. Sorry about the YouTube video or the video. So throughout my project, I had 3 milestones. So my first milestone was to classify the image. So basically, I would feed in a picture of like a dog or a cat, and then it would tell me if it's a dog or a cat. And my second milestone was to convert all my code from Google Colab, which you just saw here. This is Google Colab, or the picture on the right is Google Colab. So I had to convert everything to Raspberry Pi. That took a lot of like time and effort to research because I had to trim some of the code out. And then my third milestone was troubleshooting and making final modifications. So in my first milestone, I had 4 subtasks. So my first subtask was to create a compatible model for the cats and dogs because uh, when I researched like to find a training model, a lot of them did not fit Google Colab, and like I had to find one that had the correct syntax and it was pretty easy to follow, or not like easy to follow. It's just like the one that was seemed most straightforward. So my second subtask, which I think was the most challenging part, was understanding the code and syntax. So Fred, my TA, actually helped me guide me through the code and the syntax because I didn't really understand what a lot of the lines did. So I had to research a lot on the documentation, and Fred helped me through that also. So my third subtask was to speed up the training process. So as you saw earlier, there were 15 epochs or images set image sets that I had to train. So before it would take around 5 minutes per image set to train, but then I decided that I realized I could use a GPU, which accelerated the time from about 5 minutes per image set to 1 minute 30 seconds. So that was a really great time saver. And yeah, so the last subtask was saving and loading the model. This was actually really important because whenever I made an edit to the model, I wouldn't have to constantly retrain it and wait another like 20 minutes for it to fully train. And instead, I could just save it and then load it onto another notebook and then just use all the data from there. So moving on to my second milestone, this was a lot simpler than my first milestone since I already spent like a week understanding TensorFlow and machine learning. So I had like a little more knowledge about that stuff. So the main thing was converting code from Google Colab to Raspberry Pi. Uh, the most challenging part in this phase was like trimming the lines and fixing all the syntax because obviously I could not use some lines that I put in Google Colab and put it in Raspberry Pi. So I had to search up like different ways to uh, redo the same function, but in the Raspberry Pi's syntax. So the second subtask in Milestone 2 was setting up the Raspberry Pi module. And this was actually a lot easier because it was just like a 2-minute effort, but this allowed me to use the camera when I was feeding in the image. So overall in Milestone 2, the main thing was troubleshooting, and that's similar to my Milestone 3. So the troubleshooting, I had a bunch of different errors pop up, so I had to spend like a couple hours researching each of them and then just like looking at different documentation to fix it. So yeah, same thing, Milestone 3. I just ran through the project a couple times to make sure everything was working fine, and I just made some adjustments to save like the memory, and yeah, that was pretty much it for my milestone. So a couple of next steps I want to take are multi-classification and multi-labeling. So right now my program can only classify like dogs or cats, but I want to be able to take it to the next step and like classify something like basically any object out there. And also in addition, like if there was like a dog with like a ice cream cone, I want to be able to like do multi-labeling, which says that there's both a dog and a ice cream cone in there. Another thing I would like to do is apply my image recognition knowledge and maybe someday do facial recognition, which is a lot more complex. But I feel like that would be a really cool project. And one more thing is I really want to get ahead on AI and machine learning because I think this is a really, really interesting field. And I think it's like one of the most important things in our society now. So thank you for listening. Also, sorry, one more thing I want to add is I really appreciate BlueStamp for giving me the opportunity to get into this AI machine learning field, as well as solving problems independently. Because since we were only like on this online session, I felt like I was a lot more independent, and I just really appreciate BlueStamp for giving me the opportunity.